Welcome back, guys, to yet another episode in the WoW Token Challenge. Today, we have episode 8, and we are making great progress on our overall goals for, obviously, making a token in Durotar alone. I am very excited to get into some of the future zones, so I am putting in a heck of a grind to try and make that happen as fast as possible. We are doing still a lot of gathering. As you can see, I've been flying around with normal steady flying a little bit more than usual, just because it's a little easier to look away from the screen when you're using this type of flying, because if you're doing dragon riding, you kind of have to pay attention a little bit more. So we have been doing a little bit of the regular flying. It's not that big of a difference in terms of how much gold you can actually make per hour, so that's good. But we have been putting in quite the substantial amount of hours of both gathering on the rotation, but also Ragefire Chasm. We're doing a bit of both. We have refilled the arsenals a little bit with some of the items that we can get out here from the open world. As for Ragefire Chasm, we have every single item from there. We have every single one, plus duplicates. So at the moment, I'm going to spend a little bit more time being out in the open world, trying to restock some of the items that we don't have too many of. And there's some items that we just simply don't have. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time out in the open world. I already have, but I will be spending even more time because we still have some items that are missing on the arsenals that I would like to have on there. It both goes for the primal sets, the tribal sets, the charger sets, like all those white quality transmogs. We don't have all of the pieces, so that is something that we do want to spend some time on, even more than I already have. And alongside that, we're obviously doing gathering, both for mining and herbalism, which we are spending quite a lot of time on. I have been going back and forth between the two, as I've said, but we are making great progress. And there's also another thing that has popped up. I don't know how valuable it will be, just because of the timing and depending on how fast we actually end up finishing this zone. But before we do get into it, make sure that you guys participate in the giveaway. As always, we are doing a 2 months of game time giveaway for this particular episode. I announced the winners in the pinned comments down below the next episode following this one. So that goes for the previous ones, but also for this one. All you have to do is you have to like the video and then type a comment down below about something that you're currently enjoying in World of Warcraft, or something that you're maybe excited for, or maybe a progress update on your own challenge if you're doing something similar. And also, this is outside the giveaway, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel and put on all those notifications, because not only are we putting out a lot of episodes for this series, but whenever we do make it into a new zone, gotta be able to catch that one too. And the same thing goes for 11.2 news, and it also goes for midnight news. I'll be checking all of that out, and it is also very likely that I'll be hopping on and doing a bunch of different stuff for gold making opportunities on MUP Classic when that launches in a little under a month. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Let's get straight into the episode. So something that has popped up today while actually flying around farming here is the Midsummer Fire Festival. And this is located in Durotar, which is wonderful for our advantage. Now, I will say that we, as far as I remember, will not be able to like realistically do all of this, just because some of it requires you to go into dungeons like this one. We can't do that, but things that we can complete in the zone to be able to get these burning blossoms, that is what we want. Because there is vendors for this Midsummer Fire Festival, which is absolutely something that we want to pay attention to, because we can get some decent value out of it. I'm going to fly over into the city so you guys can see what I'm talking about from the vendor. We've made it over here, and we have a couple of quests to turn in to get some more and burning blossoms here. And we see that the festival tail spinner want you to take the summer incense to a festival scorching outside any horde settlement. That one as well. Turn this one in. Boom. And then we get another one with the torch tossing game. Then win the torch tossing game. And then speak to the Master Flame Eater. Now there's also this one. Go to the new Twilight Camp south of the Black Fathom Depths. This one we cannot do. But we will pick up the quest regardless, just to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Now, we're going to go ahead and also check the vendor here. And as you can see, we have a couple of different things. Now, most of this stuff is really cool, but unfortunately, it is warbound. However, there is a couple of things that we can actually get from this vendor. And one of them is a pet. This one right here, Blazing Cindercrawler. You can see, though, it's 350 burning blossoms. So it's obviously going to take us quite a while to be able to farm enough of these burning blossoms. But if we have the opportunity to farm enough of these within, you know, the time that this event is up, but also within the time that we're actually here in Durotar, we have the chance to actually earn a decent bit of gold. Now, these are probably going to go down in value a little bit while this event is up because people can farm this stuff. But there is two different ones, two different pets here that we can actually care about. There's also this one. Not sure if we can actually turn that into a pet. But besides that, we don't have many other options, at least from what I can remember. But we will be spending a bit of time on this because, you know, we might as well. It's a little different, a little additional activity, and we'll see what we can do. Another thing that I wanted to talk about while I'm flying around here farming, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been doing for gold, you know, throughout the challenge, but also here recently. And you'll see that again later in the mailbox when you see some of the sales. And one of them is going to be milling. Now, TSM can actually tell you the mill value of what these herbs are. And as you know, we have Silverleaf, Peace Bloom, and Earthroot available to us in Durotar. Now, it is important to remember, unless your TSM settings are completely perfect and set up properly, the value, the mill value that it'll show might not be completely correct. So I would recommend not only doing your own testing, but also, if at all possible, making sure that you change up your operations and make sure that your values are correct for how it calculates the mill value. But the way that I have been looking at it, also based on my own numbers, when it comes to milling, you actually get a little bit more out of Earthroot. The proc chances have been a little bit higher. It's not by much, but a little bit. And the proc chances for when you mill 5 of these herbs, and you have to remember it is 5 of these herbs each time you do 1 mill, you get between 2 to 2.5 alabaster pigments. The reason why I say 2 to 2.5 for Silverleaf and Peace Bloom is because over the time that I've done it, the number has been between those two. So the way that we can look at that is we take the value of 2 alabaster pigments to 2.5, so half of 1, and then we know how much potential value we can get out of it. So if we look at 5 of these, we can go on Earthroot after. If we look at 5 of these, right now on the auction house it says that the minimum buyout is 3 gold. So in total that would be 15. Now alabaster pigments, the last time that I looked, and also right before I went out here so I could talk about it, they were about 7 gold. So right now, if I got 2 of them, that would be 14. But if our average is on the higher side for a good rotation, well, then that would be an additional 3.5, which is half of 7. So we could say that it's maybe 17, 18 gold. And at that point, okay, we might consider it, right? But that still means we have to be lucky. So in most cases, with the current prices on alabaster pigment being around 7 gold, it is not worth it to do this unless we are at a potential where, let's say, it's under 3 gold. if I can sell my herb on the auction house for under 3 gold, well, with the current price of it being 7, it's more worth it to make the alabaster pigment. The same thing goes for silverleaf. It's the exact same, pretty much almost the exact same numbers in terms of range. Now, when it comes to earthroot, it actually has been a little bit higher. I don't know if it's just because my sample sizes are not big enough, because I haven't done thousands of mills. I've only done hundreds, I think. I might be over 1,000 now, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I will say, though, the numbers have been a little bit higher on earthroot, so there might be something along those lines. And when I say higher, it's been between 2.4 to 2.8. So it's a little more acceptable to mill earthroot more of the time than peace bloom. And a lot of these, like all 3 of these herbs actually range in similar prices. Most of the time, they're somewhere between 3 to 4 gold. So if alabaster pigment is around 7 gold, most of the time, the only one that I'll consider milling is going to be earthroot, because that has been the one that has actually proven to give me some higher numbers. I don't really know. Again, I'm not certain because I haven't done thousands, so I don't know what the average looks like. And that's another thing. If you want to gamble a little bit, right, you could get very lucky and have a really awesome session. That's why my numbers range from 2 to 2.5 on silverleaf and peace bloom, and why it ranges from 2.4 to 2.8 on earthroot. That's because I've had some sessions that have been much better than others. But it's also a little unreliable because I don't have the same amount of herbs every time. So it's something to keep in mind. But I do pay attention to those markets, and whenever I see that it's worth it, right? If the herbs are a little bit low whenever I'm looking at the auction house and I want to post my stuff, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just make it into alabaster pigment and post it up. That's how I've been doing it. We haven't been doing it too much because it hasn't been worth it. The vast majority of the time, it's been more worth it just to sell the herbs straight up. Also, it seems much easier to just sell the herbs, which is, you know, for obvious reason, that makes sense that they would sell faster than 1 pigment. But again, something that's really nice. Another thing is copper ore. Now, I did talk about this in some of the previous episodes, but we'll go over it again because I have crafted some handfuls of copper bolts. The way that it goes together is that we have the copper ore, which we then have to make into copper bars, and then we can make that into a handful of copper bolts. So it's a lot of crafting time, which in a normal case, if you actually have time to play and have time to be active, that's not worth it, right? Especially a lot of the time, because handfuls of copper bolts are really close to the value of what copper bars are. And you kind of have to try and make a decision on whether or not that's worth your time. Usually for me, if the value of the handful of copper bolts are about 1 gold higher than the copper bars themselves, well, then I'll find it worth it and post it up in the auction house and sell it. But I don't do it with all of it. They do sell a lot faster than something like alabaster pigments, so that's fine. Another thing is we can also make the rough stones into the blasting powder, which does give them a little bit more value. But again, we're talking silver here. So I usually only find both the alabaster pigments and also the handful of copper bolts and potentially rough blasting powder. I really only find those worth it if I need to AFK for a little bit, or I need to, you know, take a quick break or something, because then my character is doing something while I'm not there, right? Which is a very, very good thing to you know, take into consideration if you're trying to make gold in other expansions. So that's why I also wanted to mention it one more time and talk to you guys about it, because it gives a lot of, like, it makes a lot of sense in general for gold making. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of how that's put together. But I will say, for this challenge, especially in Durotar, most of the time I will just be selling the materials straight up, because if I have a lot of time to play, I'd rather just sell the materials whenever the price is looking good, and especially because they sell pretty fast. And I don't want to be standing around in a city too long if I don't need to AFK at that very point. So I'm okay with taking a small loss. You also have to consider spending time on crafting is lowering the amount of time that you can be out farming in the world. Say that you farmed for 3 hours, and then it takes you another, say, hour almost to actually just craft alabaster pigments and craft the copper bars, and then a handful of copper bolts. And then if you do anything else along those lines, well, then that's a lot of crafting time where you're just standing around in the city where you're not really getting anything done. And as I said, it's really only worth it if I have to AFK. Otherwise, it's much faster. Run to the city, well, fly to the city, post it up in the auction house, and get straight back out here. And we don't want to have a lot of these items laying in our inventory too long. So, you know, usually around the hour mark, I actually tend to go back to the city and post up my stuff, just so we can get things moving and have things sell. Sometimes it does take a little longer though, but it's up to you and how you want to do that. But I hope that makes sense. If there's anything else that you guys would like me to go over, if there's anything that I missed or anything that doesn't make sense, make sure you leave those comments down in below the video, right, as questions. And I'd love to yap about it, love to talk about it. And yeah, let's continue along in the episode. Another farm that I wanted to spend some time on before we go over and show the mailbox is this farm right here. It's outside Orgrimmar, and we can kill these furious earth guards and also these teeming water guards. Now, I did check on Wowhead their loot table, and here's the thing. They have the possibility to drop Essence of Water. Now, I did not know that these could drop Essence of Water, and since I just got one, I have no idea how many you can get an hour, and I don't know what the actual potential gold power can be from this farm. So I want to test this out. We also have the opportunity of actually mining these guys. I don't think that's worth it, but it might be, because they don't seem to fully be hyper spawning, but we do have this entire area, and we can farm all of these guys and fly back and forth. Not only do they have the possibility to drop Essence of Water, but they also have the possibility to drop Elemental Water and Elemental Earth. Now, these don't have crazy value. The Elemental Earth has, you know, about a 1 gold value, and then around a 30 silver value in the Elemental Water. But the Essence of Water is 115 gold. So right now, if we can get 30 of these in 1 hour, this is already better, much better, than any other type of farm that we can do for consistent gold. Essence of Water is really, really, really easy to sell, and it has a value of 115 gold. So I'm going to put an hour of work into this, and I'll show you guys a little bit about what we get. I do also want to mention that the trash that we're getting is also pretty valuable. As you can see, only been farming for a little bit of time here, and these is something, or well, they are something that you can get quite a lot of value for. See, we only have about 19 of these. Oh, we actually have 2 different stacks, I can see, and they don't stack very high, but you can see that we have 7 gold in value just here. That's pretty good, pretty quickly. And we also have these shimmering shards, so we're gonna have to pass over by the vendors real quick. And we also get Essence of Earth. Unfortunately, they're not worth very much either, but we will take those. And then before I got interrupted by my own brain, we also have the opportunity to get a lot of the white quality mog that you can get from here, and that goes for the primal set, it goes for the charger set, it goes for the war torn set, as you can see right here, and it also goes for the tribal set, and I think that's it. There's also the ancestral set. That is something that we can also get. I actually think we got one of them. Yeah, we did right here, the ancestral set. That's another one. They're white quality mogs that collectors want, and it's not something that a lot of people farm, so it's something that we can build up the auction house again with. And yeah, I'm gonna stop yapping now, and I'll continue with this for about an hour, and then we'll see whether or not it's going to be worth our time to continue doing this in the future. We have completed a full hour of this farming location. Now, we got 14 Essence of Water, and I really feel like this could change a lot depending on how lucky we get, just because the drop rate is 0.12. So Actually, was it 0.012? I gotta check that real. It's 0.12. So not the highest drop rate, but I will also say that most of these we actually got in the first half hour, and the other half hour we almost got nothing. So whether or not we got lucky, remains to be seen. But getting 14 regardless in an hour, I'll take it. It's 1600 gold. These are really, really awesome and easy to sell. We obviously as well got some elemental water, elemental earth, essence of earth, core of earth, and also club of water. These will be really easy to sell. Maybe not the essence of earth, but they don't have much value regardless, but that's probably another 100 gold in materials. If we also count the herbs and the ore that we pick up around here whenever we're waiting a little bit for some of these mobs to respawn, we'd probably have another, I want to say maybe 100 gold in value. So that puts us at, I want to say, close to 2,000 gold an hour for an hour's work in terms of just pure materials. Pretty awesome, pretty good if you compare it to the other opportunities we have. Now here's the thing. We could obviously get really lucky in certain hours and get a lot of these, or maybe even get less. But the big bonus of this particular farm is you can see all of these materials that we're getting as well as trash. Now we have 620 of these. So that's a lot of stacks. 620 divided by that is 31 stacks. So it's 31 times what? How much? 4 gold, 14 silver. So that's another 128 gold. So we'll put that on top of the material value. We also have the shimmering shards, and that is 8 stacks. 8 times 8.36. Do that. Was it 36? 64. That's another 70 gold. So it's another 200 gold. So we'll put ourselves at approximately 2200, which is pretty nice. I will absolutely take that. And that is like the main trash that we get. We also get a couple of other things, but they don't have much value, and we didn't get too many of them, so we don't count those. Now, another thing is that we get a couple of, gray items here. Nothing of particularly insane value. However, we did get some of the pieces that I mentioned have some decent value because of the rarity and where to get them. And one is the Charger's hand wraps, which we already have one of on the auction house. We also got the war-torn bands. We already have one of. We have been able to sell the Charger's hand wraps before for about 1,000 gold, so I'm pretty happy with that. This one, not yet. And then we also got 2 ancestral pieces, which we don't have these on the auction house, which is really awesome. And the way that I would look at the prices of these things is I would look at the region sale average and kind of price it alongside that, because we're not here in Durotar for a long time. Well, I mean, we have been here for a long time, but we're trying to get out as fast as possible. So I'm not trying to potentially wait, I don't know how long, or get super lucky and sell this for thousands and thousands of gold. I would much rather be able to farm a bunch of these and then sell them for lower prices. So if we can sell these for this one for 852, this one for 632, this one for 1,235, and this one for 1,234. I mean, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I would be super happy if we had the opportunity to sell them for that, which we have been able to for some of these more classic looking things, some of these specific lower drop rate items here in Durotar. Now, overall, I really actually enjoy this farm because it's open world. And I want to say, depending on the luck, obviously the next hour we do could get luckier, could get a little less lucky. But being between 2,000 gold and maybe potentially 3,000 gold in material value, and then also getting these, what do you call them, items on top. And all I'm doing is I'm running up and down this beach here and killing mobs. It is a lot easier to do this and then watch something on the side than flying around and gathering. And it's also really nice to have this as an opportunity to be able to farm. But anyway, really good farm. If you guys are doing this challenge yourself, you should absolutely make it out here. It's pretty cool. As always, I want to go over my slash played, and then we take a look at what we have sold in the mailbox, so far at least. We are at 4 days and 22 hours. So if you watched the last episode, you can see that we've put in quite a lot of hours. I actually think it's about approximately those 21, 22 hours, something like that. It's a lot of hours regardless, but that is where we're currently at. And our gold is 152,908. So it has risen a little bit because of the raw gold. We are actually selling some more of the stuff that we farmed recently. This is right after the previous clip. So again, I want to show you guys what we have in the mailbox. We have 54 gold. There is quite a lot of stuff in here. The vast majority of it is materials, and you can see kind of like where we swapped over from doing Ragefire Chasm permanently over to doing a lot of gathering. Now, the farm that you just saw, I plan on doing that a lot, so you'll probably also notice that a change in the mailbox once we actually get to the next episode. But as you can see, the usual big sellers, it's greater eternal essences. We also have some greater magic essences here. It's all from disenchanting. And then we have some copper bars. We have some handful of copper bolts as well. We have some herbs, nothing outside the ordinary. We did sell one of the tribal bracers here for 950 gold. Really awesome sale there. And then we also sold a veteran girdle for 343 gold. This is a random gray item that doesn't particularly look good, so I'm pretty happy about that one. And this one obviously is very nice. And then we have more materials, nothing out of the ordinary. A couple of crafted blacksmithing transmog pieces here, so we take that. And then we have more materials, both crafted and non-crafted. The alabaster pigments are actually down to about 6 gold now, so I'm gonna start not crafting them again because it's gonna be way more worth it just to sell the materials straight up. But it moves around all the time. It's really unfortunate though if I craft a bunch of alabaster pigments and then the price falls. So most of the time I want to avoid this, so I'm probably going to be staying away from alabaster pigments for the next foreseeable future because we don't really make anything or we lose gold on it. And then there's the handful of copper bolts. I usually only ever make these if I have some AFK time that I need to take care of, because then we make a little bit of gold just standing around, and then we have more herbs. So as you can see, nothing besides, you know, a pair, maybe 3-4 different items that we actually sold for transmog. Besides that, it's been just pure materials. As for the gold per hour, if we count this, it's obviously not fully counted because we have some stuff in the auction house that still has not sold. But if we take those 22, 21 hours, we'll just be nice and call it 22, just in case. Approximately 41,554 gold divided by 22 is 1,888 gold per hour. So if we don't count the stuff that we currently have posted on the auction house, about 1,900 gold per hour for our work. It's not bad. It's not, you know, out of this world. I'm actually pretty happy with it because, you know, there is AFK time counted into this as well. So it's probably somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 gold. But again, really, really awesome, really, really big progress here for this episode. Overall, we get to 194,462. That is the number. That is based on the gold that we have made. We are making it ever closer to the goal of getting a WoW token. And as you can see, right now, it is 353,000 gold. So at the moment, we're still... how much is that? 160,000 away. Not too bad. Not too bad. If we say it's between 2,000 and 2,500 gold an hour, we'll just call it 2250. Then if we take that 160k divided by the 2250, we have approximately 71 hours left. This could obviously change depending on what we are able to sell in the auction house, and also how good the farm right out here that we found today, how good this will be. Because I think we have some real opportunity to make some really delicious gold out here, and I hope it speeds up the process. But as you can see, we are counting down the time, and I am sure we will get out of Durotar very, very soon. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching the video, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.